Unit 1, Diversity in the Living World. Chapter 1, The Living World. How wonderful is the living world? The wide range of all living type is amazing. The extraordinary habitats in which we find living organisms, be it could mountains, deciduous forests, oceans, freshwater lakes, deserts, or hot springs, leave us speechless. The beauty of galloping horse, of the migrating birds, the valley of flowers, or the attacking shark evokes, and a deep sense of wonder. The ecological conflict and cooperation among members of population and among population of community or even the molecular traffic inside a cell make us deeply reflect on what indeed life is. This question has two implicit questions within it. The first is a technical one and seeks answer to what living is opposed to the non-living. And the second is philosophical one and seeks answer to what the purpose of life is. As scientists, we shall not attempt answering the second question. We will try to reflect on what is living. Diversity in the living world. If you look around, you see large variety of living organisms, be it potted plants, insects, birds, your pets, or other animals and plants. There are also several organisms that you cannot see with your naked eye, but they all are around you. If you were to increase the area that you make observation in, the range and variety of organisms that you see would increase. Obviously, if you were to visit a dense forest, you would probably see a much greater number and kinds of living organisms in it. Each different kinds of plant, animal, or organism that you see represent a species. The number of species that are known and described range between 1.7 to 1.8 million. This refers to a biodiversity or the number and the types of organisms present on Earth. We should remember here that as we explore new areas and even old ones, new organisms are continuously being identified. As stated earlier, there are millions of plants and animals in the world. We know the plants and animals in our own area by their local names. These local names would vary from place to place, even within a country. Probably, you would recognize the confusion that would be created if we did not find way and make to talk to each other, to refer to organisms we are talking about. Hence, there is need to standardize the naming of living organisms such that a particular organism is known by the same name all over the world. This process is called nomenclature. Obviously, nomenclature or naming is only possible when the organism is described correctly and we know to what organism the name is attached to. This is identification. In order to facilitate the study, number of scientists have been established procedures to assign a scientific name to each known organism. This is acceptable to biologists all over the world. For plants, scientific names are based on agreed principles and criteria which are provided in International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. You may ask, how are animals named? Animal taxonomists have involved International Code for Zoological Nomenclature. The scientific name ensures that each organism has only one name. Description of any organism should enable the people in any part of the world to arrive at the same name. They also ensure that such a name has not been used for any other known organism. Biologists follow universally accepted principles to provide scientific name to known organism. Each name has two components, the generic name and the specific epithet. This system of providing a name with two components is called a binomial nomenclature. This naming system given by Carlos Linnaeus is being practiced by biologists all over the world. This naming system using a two-word format was found convenient. Let us take the example of mango to understand the way of providing scientific name better. The scientific name of mango is written as a Mangifera indica. Let us see how it is a binomial name. In this name, Mangifera represents the genus, while indica is a particular species or a species epithet. Other universal rules of nomenclature are as follow. First, biological names are generally in Latin and written in italic. They are Latinized or derived from Latin irrespective of their origin. Second, The first word in a biological name represents the genus, while the second component denotes the specific epithet. Third, both the words in a biological name, when handwritten, are separately underlined or printed in italics to indicate their Latin origin. Fourth, the first word denoting the genus starts with a capital letter, while the species epithet starts with a small letter. It can be illustrated with the example of Mangifera indica. Name of the author appears after the specific epithet, example, at the end of the biological name and is written in an abbreviated form. Mangifera indica Linn. It indicates that this species was first described by Linnaeus. Since it is nearly impossible to study all the living organisms, it is necessary to devise some means to make this possible. This process is classification. Classification is a process by which anything is grouped into convenient categories based on some easy observable characters. For example, we easily recognize groups such as plants or animals or dogs, cats or insects. The moment we use any of these terms, we associate certain characters with the organism in that group. What image do you see when you think of dog? Obviously, each one of us will see dogs and not cats. Now, if we were to think of elasticians, we know that we are talking about. Similarly, suppose we were to say mammals, we would of course think of animals with external ears and body hairs. Likewise, in plants, if we try to talk of wheat, the picture in each of our mind will be of wheat plants, not of rice or any other plant. Hence, all these dogs, cats, mammals, wheat, rice, plants, animals, etc. are convenient category we use to study organisms. The scientific term for this category is taxa. Here you must recognize the taxa can indicate categories at very different level. Plants also form taxa. Wheat is also a taxa. Similarly, animals, mammals, dogs are all taxa. But you know what a dog is mammal and mammals are animals. Therefore, mammals and dogs represent taxa at different levels. Hence, based on characteristics, all living organisms can be classified into different taxa. This process of classification is taxonomy. External and internal structure, along with the structure of cell, development process, and ecological information of organisms are essential and form the basic of modern taxonomic studies. Hence, characterization, identification, classification, and nomenclature are the process that are basis to taxonomy. Taxonomy is not something new. Human beings have always been interested in knowing more and more about the various kinds of organisms, particularly with reference to their own use. In early days, human beings needed to find source of their basic need of food, clothing, and shelter. Hence, the earliest classification were based on the use of various organisms. Human beings were since long not only interested in knowing more about different kinds of organisms and their diversities, but also the relationship among them. This branch of study was referred to as systematics. The word systematic is derived from the Latin word systema, which means systematic arrangement of organisms. Linnaeus used Systema Nature as the title of his publication. The scope of systematics was later enlarged to include identification, nomenclature, and classification. Systematics takes into account evolutionary relationship between organisms. Taxonomic categories. Classification is not a single-step process but involves hierarchy of steps in which each step represents a rank or category. Since the category is a part of overall taxonomic arrangement, it is called the taxonomic category, and all categories together constitute the taxonomic hierarchy. Each category, referred to as a unit of classification, in fact represents a rank and is commonly termed as taxon. Taxonomic categories and hierarchy can be illustrated by an example. Insects represent a group of organisms sharing common features like 3 pairs of jointed legs. It means insects are recognizable concrete objects which can be classified and thus were given a rank or category. Can you name other such groups of organisms? Remember, group represent category, category further denotes rank, each rank or taxon in fact represent a unit of classification. These taxonomic groups categories are distinct biological entities and not merely morphological aggregates. Taxonomical studies of all known organisms have led to the development of common categories such as kingdom, phylum, or division for plants, class, order, family, genus, and species. All organisms include those in the plant and animals have species as the lowest category. Now the question you may ask is how to place an organism in various categories. The basic requirement is the knowledge of characters of an individual or group of organisms. These help in identifying similarities and dissimilarities among the individuals of the same kind of organisms as well as of other kind of organisms. Species. Taxonomic studies consider a group of individual organisms with fundamental similarities as a species. One should be able to distinguish one species from the other closely related species based on the distinct morphological differences. Let us consider Mangifera indica, Solanum tubersum potato, and Panthera leo loan. All the three names indica, tubersum, and leo represent the specific epithet, while the first word Mangifera, Solanum, and Panthera are genera and represent another high level of taxons or category. Each genus may have one or more than one species epithet representing different organisms but having morphological similarities. For example, Panthera has another species epithet called tigris, and Solanum includes species like Nirgums and Melongena. Human beings belong to the species Sapiens, which is grouped in the genus Homo. The scientific name thus for human being is written as Homo sapiens. Genus. Genus comprises a group of related species which has more character in common in comparison to species of other genera. We can say that genera are aggregate of closely related species. For example, potato and brinjal are two different species but both belong to the genus Solanum. Lion Panthera leo, leopard Panthera pardus, and tigress Panthera tigris. With several common features are all species of the genus Panthera. These genus different from other genus Felis, which includes cats. Family. The next category, family, has a group of related genera with still less number of similarities as compared to the genus and species. Family are characterized on the basis of both vegetative and reproductive feature of plant species. Among plant, for example, three different genera, Solanum, Petuna, and Datura, are placed in the family Solanaceae. Among animals, for example, genus Panthera comprising lion, tiger, leopard is put along the genus Felis cat in the family Felidae. Similarly, if you observe the feature of cat and a dog, you will find some similarities and some differences as well. They are separated into two different families, Felidae and Canidae, respectively. Order. You may seen earlier that categories like species, genus, and families are based on a number of similar characters. Generally, order and other higher taxonomic categories are identified based on the aggregate characters. Order being a high category is the assemblage of family which exhibit a few similar characters. The similar characters are less in number as compared to the different genera including in a family. Plant family like Convoluaceae, Solanaceae are included in the order Polymenales, mainly based on the floral characters. The animal orders Carnivora includes families like Felidae and Canidae. Class. This category includes related orders, for example, order Primata comprising monkey, gorilla, and gibbon is placed in class Mammalia, along with other carnivora that includes animals like tiger, cats, and dogs. Class Mammalia has other order also. Phylum. Classes comprising animals like fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds, along with mammals constitute the next higher category called phylum, all rationalized 2023 to 2024. These based on the common features like presence of notochords and dorsal hollow neural system are included in phylum Chordata. In case of plants, classes with a few similar characters are assigned to a higher category called division. Kingdom. All animals belonging to a various phyla are assigned to the highest category called kingdom. Animalia. In a classification system of animals, the kingdom Plantae, on the other hand, is distinct and comprises all plants from various divisions. Henceforth, we will refer to these two groups as animal and plant kingdom. The taxonomic categories from species to kingdom have been shown in ascending order, starting with the species in figure 1.1. These are broad categories. However, taxonomist has also developed subcategories in this hierarchy to facilitate more sound and scientific placement of various taxa. Look at the hierarchy in figure 1.1. You can recall the basis of arrangement. Say, for example, as we go higher from species to kingdom, the number of common characters goes on decreasing. Lower the taxa, more are the characteristics that the member within the taxon shares. Higher the category, greater is the difficulty to determining the relationship to other taxa at the same level. Hence, the problem of classification becomes more complex. The table indicates the taxonomic categories to which some organisms like housefly, man, mango and wheat belong. Organisms with their taxonomic categories tables. Summary. The living world is rich in variety. Billions of plants and animals have been identified and described, but a large number still remains unknown. The very range of organisms in terms of size, color, habitats, physiologically and morphologically features make us seek the defining characteristics of living organisms. In order to facilitate the study of kinds and diversity of organisms, biologists have involved certain rules and principles for identification, nomenclature and classification of organisms. The branch of knowledge dealing with these accepts is referred to as a taxonomic. The taxonomic studies of various species of plant and animals are useful in agriculture, forestry, industries and in general for knowing our bioresources and their diversity. The basis of taxonomy like identification, naming and classification of organisms are universally involved under international code. Based on the resemblance and distinct differences, each organism is identified and assigned a correct scientific biologically name comprising two words as per the binomial system of nomenclature. An organism occupy a place or a position in the system of classification. There are many categories ranked and are generally referred to as taxonomic categories or taxa. All the categories constitute the taxonomical hierarchy. Thank you. थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग। अगर वीडियो पसंद आई हो तो लाइक करें, चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें।